Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV in a new edition of our online interview series. We want to get an update of the fantastic silver developer Vizsla Silver, and Michael Konnert, the CEO, is here with us. Hey, good morning to Canada. How are you?
Hi, Jochen. I'm doing very well. Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you, Michael. Thank you very much for taking the time. I'm a shareholder in the company. I want to disclose this upfront. And there is really a lot to talk about. And first of all, congratulations. You did a fantastic board deal.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Yeah, we're very well financed now. So that was very well executed financing.
Yeah, can you maybe give us an idea who went into it? Are those already existing shareholders, or you got maybe some new institutions?
Oh, it was a great mix. We had very strong support from existing shareholders. We're very happy with that outcome. And then in addition to existing shareholders, we also had new institutions come in. It was significantly subscribed by new institutions. We had just finished a week in Colorado at the Precious Metals Summit, and we were going into the Denver Gold Show. So we had a chance to interface with existing shareholders, but also new institutions. And then outside of that, we actually had quite a few retail investment advisors, and the retail book was actually quite substantial in that financing as well. So it was really what you want to see, a nice mix. We didn't have a warrant, so it was just a common share. Really excellent outcome there.
Okay, super. And we saw it on mid of October. You spent already some money out of that, or let's say, it was even before that. But you bought the Lagara Metates district, or it's called Lagara. Why did you buy that? Is that something, let's say, additional, complete new to the Panuco district, sorry? Or is that, let's say, the next venture?
What it is the result of what we consider our competitive advantage in this area of Sinaloa, combined with what we perceive as a massive underexplored region in Mexico, which is ironic because it's there's a 1 billion ounce district there, which is the San Dimas district that's owned by First Majestic. It's been one of the most prolific producers in the history of Mexico, and 80 kilometers to the south, you have Panuco, which we thoroughly believe is going to become a 1 billion ounce district and one of the world's great silver districts. In between, you have districts like Lagara, that's equidistant between Panuco to the south and San Dimas to the north, that have never seen diamond drilling, that have hundreds of years of small scale production history and artifacts and all of these really interesting things that sit there on the property, but again, have never been explored. There's never been a diamond rig. There's never been systematic exploration. And, we look forward, we look into the future, and we see that Vizsla is going to be producing a huge amount of cash flow. And, for us to even invest 10% of that free cash flow annually into organic growth within a region that we're well versed in, that we believe we have a competitive advantage in, that just makes great business sense for us. And so we were able to purchase that primarily with stock issuance and some cash payments, but in a very non-dilutive fashion, we were able to purchase that project and effectively double our land package in that area. We've also added 10,000 hectares to the south with San Enrique and the Richard concessions there. So, one day I'd like to see Vizsla having, much larger land holdings in this region, because I think we're going to be able to really grow the company through organic growth, through exploration and later development of these various projects that we have in our region.
Okay, super. Before we come to the development, how things are moving forward, also, I saw that you have started in the summer an infill drill program, and it looks like that goes extremely well. You reported on the beginning of October like 4,500 grams silver equivalent per ton. That is outstanding, or 5,200, 3,300 grams silver equivalent per ton over lovely true widths. So how is that going now?
Well, we've completed the infill program, and it went very, very well. We've been very pleased with that outcome. So we've effectively drilled since the last cutoff about just under 70,000 kilometers of, or sorry, 70,000 meters, 70 kilometers of diamond drilling. And, the vast, vast majority of that would have been in Copala as part of this infill program. That infill program confirmed the continuity of mineralization at Copala, which is excellent. It confirmed high grade in holes in between existing holes, and it also upgraded the resource, and we'll see the result of that. Likely, we'll have some of those numbers ready as we head into the end of the year, but it'll likely be published in the very early new year. An updated mineral resource estimate, and that's going to include M&I component that's so important to mine planning and the feasibility study. We've indicated, we've guided that we think we're going to see a couple of 100 million ounces, so 200 million ounces of silver equivalent in the M&I category. In this updated resource, I think that it's likely that we should be able to achieve that target. And as you've pointed out, those grades are spectacular, so it's quite likely that we'll see the grades hover around the same levels or maybe improve. So I'm thrilled with that infill campaign. These type of campaigns really only occur where you're surprised to the upside in the very best projects globally. It's typically the opposite, where infill is disappointing. It doesn't hang together properly. The grade's going down. But the results that we saw from released from this program, I suspect will show the opposite. And something really interesting happened as we were doing this drilling. We did start to drill further closer to surface from the existing resource area from the last resource that we put together. And we started to kind of fill in between surface and that last resource area. So we've actually grown the resource closer to surface with this infill campaign. So typically infill campaigns don't grow resources. Often they diminish resources. We're very thrilled to see that the opposite has likely happened here with that drill campaign.
Wow, fantastic. So that sounds to me also like, you are really on the fast track now for, let's say, production decision. You want to be in production. I saw in your presentation by 2027. So that's not far away, I would say.
That's right. It's getting closer and closer, and it's a lot of fun. I suspect that's really what people are missing. It's interesting. We talked to a heck of a lot of shareholders, and if I'm not traveling, Mike Pettengell, our senior vice president of business development, is frequently on the road talking to people. So we're always talking to investors, and a lot of people know about Vizsla loosely. They know about the fact that we have some high grade silver in Mexico, consolidated district, and a lot of times it feels like it's maybe about a year old, the information that they're I'd say some parts of the public. A lot of people are very well up to date on the story, but some groups in the public are maybe about a year behind. And I think that's really what people are missing about the story now. We're finishing off the year. It's almost December. It's crazy how quick this year's flown by.
Yeah.
But 2025 is going to be a remarkable year for us, and it's very similar. It reminds me a lot of what Silvercrest went through when they went parabolic. It was going into the feasibility study, getting fully financed, showing that this is something that's going to be moved into production very rapidly, and that I think is coming sooner than people think. And for us, 2027 comes very quickly. Our goal is to be in production. We say 2027. We don't say which half. I think it's better to think of it in the second half of 2027. But it only takes a few things that are outstanding for us to go really well before we see that plan really come together. And probably the biggest thing is the permit, which I suspect will be achievable for the company.
Okay, super. You are by now on a PEA level, but I know that you are working already much more, that you are, how can I say that you are like in a dual mode, which is already going closer to a feasibility study, right? Because it looks to me like with the work you have, how much you have drilled, then comes the new mineral resource estimate, etc. I could imagine that you are much more advanced than the numbers show.
Well, the PEA was a snapshot in time, and it was an excellent snapshot in time. It shows the top 5 silver equivalent producer globally. It puts us in the ranks of Fresnillo's top mines, and certainly the largest silver equivalent producer owned by an independent company or a single asset company. And when you combine that size and scale and cash flow profile with the de minimis capex, it's under $224 million US. that's something very unique. So you have a huge NPV to CapEx ratio, really impressive there. And, we were blown away with the outcome of the PEA. But, I do think with the combination of this upcoming resource update, the potential improvement to the M&I category there, where we can start to really see a mine plan come around Copala even more so than the PEA states. This feasibility, we've always endeavored to not go backwards into feasibility. It's also something that you see happen a lot. A company puts out a dream sheet, PEA, very loose parameters on it, and they hope to get bought out. Nothing happens. The majors call their bluff, and then they need to move it forward into feasibility. Typically, there's a PFS step in that whole thing, but it typically gets worse and worse each study. And typically, by the time it's a feasibility, it's nothing like the PEA. Our hope is that we can actually show a feasibility study that's in line with the PEA, if not better. Some indications that we can achieve that are, this upcoming resource here. So we'll see the outcome of that. We are starting a test mine at the end of the year that will really start in earnest in the very beginning of next year, but we'll start the box cut by the end of this year, which is very exciting. I'll be heading down to site here in a few days and being able to prepare for our contractors there. We've set up offices at the Core Shack and Concordia. We're really getting ready to start this test mine. And that test mine information, we're not doing it for a bulk sample. We're not doing it to raise money. We're doing it to de-risk the startup of the mine and to feed some of that information, ground control, and these types of things.
Metallurgy maybe also.
Exactly. Metallurgy will feed into the feasibility study. And, that's going to be incredible. We'll have the mine plan come together. We'll be developing an ore. We'll be able to stockpile, high grade, low grade, medium grade above surface, and that's a huge de-risking step. So, as I said, it doesn't seem like the market fully understands how close we are to actually breaking ground on a test mine that will likely be our permanent access to Copala. And again, that's something that we're permitted for. It's a great indication that we should receive permits for the overall mine, in a favorable time frame next year. So it's very exciting. Feasibility study we're planning for the second half of 2025. In combination, that's a bankable feasibility study, something that we want to be very progressed with project finance as we come close to publishing that feasibility study. So it's possible that we may have, if the stars align for us in permitting, which I think is possible, we may have a bankable feasibility silver project that's financed through project finance by the end of 2025. That's an aspirational goal. It's not saying that's definitively what's going to happen, but I guarantee you there's no other silver project at this level that's even close to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm totally with you. That raises two questions. First of all, you said it already, the $224 million initial capex. That might be a little bit updated. I could imagine that we come maybe to 250 or 270, which I think is absolutely not a problem. And the other thing, what is of interest, what is the share of silver, gold, zinc, and lead in your future production scenario?
Well, the initial mine is a precious metals only mine. So we're disregarding the base metals. So it's 60-40, give or take, depending on gold and silver prices. The 60-40 silver to gold. So certainly silver primary. And, Simon Smirlik, our COO, we often get questions about CapEx. And of course, Simon's built 45 mines in his 15-year career with Ausenco. And Ausenco put, their balance sheet on the line. They were well known for lump sum turnkey projects where they would put their balance sheet on the line to build these projects, and then they would be paid, a lump sum by the owner. And so we've with that CapEx number, we put a lot of rigor into it. We, used actual mechanical quotes, takeoff quotes. We used Lang factors. We used a variety of techniques to really hone in on the right number for that CapEx. And a lot of times people say, "Oh, that seems low." And I'm not saying there'll never be any movement in the CapEx, but we did put there's about $40 million worth of contingency in that number.
Okay.
So there was a existing contingency from Ausenco, from the consultant group that helped us with it, and then we put an additional owner's contingency on top of that. So we do
Mhm.
have some room to maneuver there. But why it seems so low, and it doesn't seem low if you look in the context of Silvercrest, which is an operation that Ausenco did build. It's actually just very similar to Silvercrest, just slightly bigger, bigger capacity, but it's in between two highways. It's underneath the
Mhm.
power line.
Mhm.
It's extremely accessible. We're not building roads. We're not reinventing anything. Linear infrastructure is minimal there. So we're talking about less than 5 kilometers of pumping for the tailings facility.
Easy.
So and we're not building Vizsla World headquarters in Mexico with fancy offices and all these types of things. It's
Yeah.
very perfunctory operation that we're envisioning there. So I suspect that we'll be able to build this, in line with that capex.
Mhm.
And that in a large part has to do with how blessed this project is by infrastructure.
Absolutely. Yeah, and also what I like is your base case is $26 per ounce of silver and $1,975 per ounce of gold. So we are well above that. And if I look at the numbers, this is crazy what upside you have. Because to my belief, honestly, I see silver more to the $40, $50 level within the next 2 years. And I could imagine gold well above the $3,000 level for the next 2 years. And so from that side, you could pay back like this, right?
Well, yeah, the payback already at that base case is measured in 9 months. I mean,
Yeah.
it's months, not years, which is incredible. And in addition, I mean, right now probably it's closer to 6 months than 9 months, I would say, at current prices. And the IRR is probably closer to triple digit, from
Mm,
that 86%. So you're right; it performs very well in the upside case of silver. But as a business, we look at this in terms of downside, and you would have to basically be at $10 silver, producing at $10 silver before you really start to lose money or break even, I should say, because the first few
mm,
years are sub 8. So uh, this is one of these very large scale, low cost operations that are so in demand and so
mm,
exciting to have. And when you look at the cash flow profile of the first couple of years, it's close to so it's well north of 200 million US for each of those 2 years. Of course, that was based on the PEA. We may see that change in some ways, perhaps positively. And
mhm,
if you apply that multiple, that Silvercrest and Gatos got in terms of their cash flow multiple of and their takeovers, it shows that Vizsla Silver is really criminally undervalued at these levels. And, we'll start to see, as we de-risk and go closer to production, I think we'll start to see that valuation change. But
mm.
I do think that's another thing the market's not fully getting is the cash flow profile is absolutely huge.
Yeah, this is really crazy. I could imagine that the banks are already queuing to throw money at you because I could imagine that you even must not do equity with 9 months payback, or even maybe it's then 8 or 7 months as if my let's say my silver gold prognosis is really hitting, because then it goes so fast.
Well, exactly, and you are right. We have started the project finance process already. We have an excellent advisor in Chris Adams, who's been worked at
Mm,
Macquarie for many years, running their debt desk. And by all accounts, this should be something that is very appealing to a great mix of various different lenders. And we are looking at a 60-40 or perhaps 65% load towards debt. So we are with $100 million US in the bank right now. We're well into that equity component of what's required to build this project. So
absolutely.
the equity could very well be that last money in, and if that's the case, then there's really no more equity financings between now and then. But we're in excellent shape financially, and I think that's really an important thing to note, because that totally I shouldn't say totally, but it de-risks the next
Mm.
steps for us quite substantially. We're funded for the test mine, certainly funded for feasibility, and we're funded to begin construction if we get that permit early.
Wow, fantastic. Then maybe one other question, because it all sounds so fantastic, and it is fantastic, of course. But maybe we should also touch on, I wouldn't say a risk, but how do you rate the political situation in Mexico by now? Is that because, sometimes you read in the media here, oh, yeah, they want to nationalize the whole silver industry, they want to nationalize the lithium industry, and this and that. I mean, they would shoot themselves into both knees, right?
Yeah, I agree. And it's not the people love to be sensationalist about really anything, and it's just how the news cycles work. But in the last 5 years, we've kept our head down. We've
Yeah.
continued to deliver here on the project, and nothing's changed for us on that front. I
Mhm.
just got back from Mexico. I was meeting with the Secretary of Economy in Mexico City a few weeks ago, and that was overwhelmingly positive. We met with different people that under the AMLO administration would never have met with Canadian mining
Mhm.
companies. And they said, a number of very positive things, including, permits will be granted, that silver is a critical mineral, and therefore, they want to encourage foreign investment in that to help get these minerals out of the ground. So
Mhm.
I just bought more stock the other day in Vizsla. So we're very invested in this. Nothing I've heard has been discouraging in that front, and I suspect that foreign investment in Canadian investment, American investment in Mexico's mining industry will continue to grow. And I think we're through the worst days of that. We saw open pit bans being talked about. We saw mining reform being talked about.
Yeah.
These are all things that happened that AMLO did before the end of his administration. I really
Mhm.
believe that Claudia is going to be very positive for mining. And that's for the whole mining industry, I would say. For a company like Vizsla that's looking to permit a brownfields operation, basically, or
Mhm.
a new operation in a brownfields district, I suspect the pathway to production and development is going to be smoother than others. So I left that meeting and I left Mexico very, very positive, and I suspect we're going to have just continued positive
Mhm.
news for for the industry. And then the other, comment that we often get regarding Mexico is, cartel violence and things like this. And of course, that's a story that's not new in Mexico. And
Mhm.
I think people would be quite surprised to find out that jurisdictions that they believe or perceive as blue chip, like Sonora and Zacatecas, et cetera, are actually much more violent than Sinaloa is very often. So, we're operating normally as we typically do. It hasn't affected our operations. We're drilling with 2 rigs at normal shifts, day and night, and that's been excellent. Our COO is on site right now. I'm going to be heading there on the weekend and there for a week. So, we we're very positive about Mexico. I really think that it's probably an opportunity for investors, because it's the same as when we
Mhm.
found Vizsla in the first place. There was this perception of Panuco being, an old district that had too many owners and, not consolidated. How can you explore it? So we consolidated it, and we did that in a place where people perceived as dangerous. Sinaloa, we've been able to operate very smoothly there. It's been excellent for
Mhm.
us, and I suspect that there's a lot of positive news to come out of Mexico in both
Mhm.
the political and the cartel had news headlines that it's probably a good time to look at buying Vizsla Silver.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I can imagine Mexico needs the taxes, Mexico needs the jobs, and here they are, right?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. Well, we've over the last 5 years, we actually our municipality that we operate in created the most new high paying jobs out of anywhere else in Sinaloa. So we've already been improving, the communities that we work in, and having an operating mine is only going to do that more so. And I think it's something that's very exciting for not
Mhm.
only Sinaloa and the area that we operate, but Mexico federally as well.
Mhm. Super. Fantastic. Michael, thank you very much for your time. I would say 2024, another Whistler year. You guys really achieved a lot. You did fantastic work. You really delivered, and we look absolutely forward to that new mineral resource estimate. And I would say 2025, 2026, those are your 2 years. Bring that baby alive.
I love it. Yeah, we will.
Super. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Michael. I wish you all the best. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Okay, appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Michael Konnert, the CEO of Vizsla Silver, and you heard it. This is the next big silver producer in Mexico, and I must really say this is an outstanding company. They've done everything right. They've executed their past the last years, and now with $100 million in the bank, yeah, they are not even pressurizable, and there they are getting the permits. I'm pretty sure for next year they will do a beautiful mineral resource estimate again, will enlarge that. And the infill drilling is even going better than thought, because normally it goes a little bit down. Here it goes up again. This is outstanding. And I have a very, very good feeling that this company, Panuco, will be in production by 2027. So for that perspective, really, guys, check out that wonderful company, $2 Canadian 51. It was just an hour ago in Canada when I looked it up again. And I must say, it looks really fantastic. Our price targets are going closer to 4.5 to 5 Canadian dollars for the foreseeable future here. But longer term, we think that could easily go to 7 to 8, probably to 9 Canadian dollars, because with that cash flow, that short payback, those low silver and gold prices calculated in the PEA, and now the prices we see today and probably in 2 years much, much higher, this is a no-brainer. So make sure you have some Vizsla. I have it. Thanks for watching us. Merry Christmas to everybody, and bye-bye from Switzerland.